A 2-liter turbocharged engine, 7-speed, double-clutch transmission, all-wheel drive and 300 horsepower under the bonnet. This is not Skoda lovers' wet dream Karoq vRS. This is the Cupra Ateca. The Skoda Karoq connection is not accidental. Cupra Ateca has identical dimensions. The only difference between the Karoq and the Ateca are the simply clever solutions, or rather lack thereof in case of the Spanish brand. If you don't follow automotive news, Cupra is Seat's former sport division, an abbreviation for Cup Racing. Since 2018, Cupra is a performance-oriented sub-brand, soon to be a separate brand with its own VIN. This will allow Seat to breathe easy with the higher-emitting cars out of its CO2 average. At the same time, clients looking for more auto emocion than you get from a 1.5 TSI motor have a brand to turn to. For many years, I struggled to understand why the Volkswagen Group is keeping the Seat brand alive. I understand that the good people of Spain, having to choose between Seat, Skoda and VW, will likely go for their national brand. However, since 2012, when Seat started looking like a cross between Skoda and VW, I really couldn't see the point for a third brand in the same segment. It was the 4th gen Leon I reviewed last year that opened my eyes. Possibly after switching to the MQB platform, Seat needed time to reimagine itself. The Cupra Formentor is clearly different from VW's sporty models. However, the Ateca was designed earlier. This is just a facelift of a car that is basically a Skoda Karoq. One could argue about the looks or about the simply clever options, which Skoda will sell you at an eye-watering premium. But if I had to choose a base spec compact crossover, I'd go with whoever offers a better discount. Ateca by Seat is a poorly equipped take on the Mark I VW Tiguan, and the Karoq with the sliding rear bench is almost the 1st gen Tiguan. And if Skoda's 2019 announcements about the Karoq vRS materialized, there would be no reason for the Cupra Ateca to exist. But Skoda dropped the Karoq vRS, and if you want a 300 horsepower compact crossover, Ateca is what you get. 300 horsepower and 400 Nm of torque are very respectable numbers. Cupra is supposed to do 0 to 100 km/h sprint in 4.9 seconds. I got 5.5 without launch control and on a wet surface. The Cupra Ateca needs just 3.5 seconds from 80 to 120 km/h. Fuel economy is reasonable at 8.5–9 liters per 100 km combined. The manufacturer says it should use even more fuel, so I'm not complaining. If I were to complain about something, it would be a complete lack of drama behind the wheel. The Cupra Ateca is an ordinary car that someone happened to stuff a more powerful engine in. Like the Formentor, also the Ateca is very easy to drive very fast. It doesn't demand a lot from the driver. Peak torque is reached at just 2000 RPM, so most of what the car has to offer is accessible in city conditions, assuming you're not breaking any speed limits. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Well, very often car makers try to sell us cars that offer mind-blowing performance, but in order to have one's mind blown, one needs to visit a truck or hope that the road ahead is empty and no wild animals or police officers with radar guns are going to jump in front of the car. From this perspective, the Cupra Ateca is an interesting proposition. And how is the Ateca different from the Formentor? There are just 10 horsepower and several centimeters between the two. The Formentor is slightly longer, wider, it has longer wheelbase, but it is lower, and it has a smaller boot than the Ateca. Acceleration is identical. Driving the Formentor, I felt it's not a particularly wild car, and the Ateca is even easier. Also, the Ateca has less sophisticated suspension than the Formentor. On the same roads, the Formentor felt glued to the road, whereas on some bumps the Ateca rear suspension was working overtime. There are also those knocks from the rear, well known to owners of VW cars with DCC. The steering is light, regardless of what driving mode you're in. The sound, well, At least the Ateca doesn't pretend to be a V8 like the Formentor. However, without an optional exhaust, don't expect too much. Visibility is okay. The seats are very comfortable. These are optional bucket seats, by the way, but they're only called bucket seats. Don't get me wrong, there are seats out there with much less lateral support, but for sporty seats, these are average at best. Beside the normal sport and Cupra modes, there are also individual settings as well as a winter and off-road mode. On my diagonal approach test, I feel the Ateca coped best in normal mode. There was too much struggle in the off-road mode, and in winter mode I had to back down. Even Cupra Ateca's cockpit is very toned down. In the Formentor there are additional buttons on the steering wheel which add some drama. Here the only difference between a Seat and a Cupra is the Cupra badge on the steering wheel. The driver's display is like in any VW car, even if the graphics are slightly different. Same thing with the central display. Seat divides the screen into 3 main sections, and then there are shortcut icons at the bottom of the screen. The Ateca kept physical AC and basic car function controls, although ESP settings have to be accessed via the on-screen menu. However, the drive mode selector remained on a rotary dial, which in my opinion is a better choice than the button in the Formentor. Many a time I ended up driving in the wrong mode because I pressed the switch one time too many or too little, and I didn't notice the tiny icon on the display. Here I can feel what I'm doing. There is a place for your phone, cup holders, average size glove box, small storage under the armrest, but the door pockets are very big. Kia should take notes for the Sorento and Hyundai for the Santa Fe. In the back there is a lot of legroom and headroom. In the middle there are air vents but no third zone climate control. Under the vents are 2 USB-C ports. Door pockets will accommodate bottles. There are also cup holders in the armrest, behind which is a ski hatch. The 485-liter boot has a regular shape. There are shopping bag hooks as well as release handles for the rear seats. Double floor is an option not specified in this test car, so with seats down, there is a hump to get over. Under the floor is an optional Beats audio system subwoofer as well as a repair kit. There is also some additional storage in these styrofoam inserts. Prices of the Cupra Ateca start at €46,000. With options, this test car costs a ridiculous €54,000, which is more than the Cupra Formentor I reviewed recently. For this kind of money, I'll have the Formentor. Thank you. And how do you like the Cupra Ateca? Would you choose it over the Formentor, or maybe there's another hot crossover on your radar? Let me know in the comment section below. If you like my sarcastic, down-to-earth and possibly mildly amusing car reviews, join me every Friday at 3 p.m. Central European Time, and don't forget to subscribe and like this video as it helps me with the YouTube algorithm. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.